Most St. Louisans aren't aware of it, but right here in the midst of the busy central West End, high above Kings Highway on the roof of the Children's Hospital, is a small jewel of a garden, one of the most serene and beautiful spots in all of St. Louis. Miracles are performed every day at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and yet the stress on young patients, their families, and the hospital staff can be overwhelming. This rooftop garden is a quiet place to think, to share, connect with nature, and get some relief, if only briefly, from worries.
On that side of the wall is where we have what we call the miracles of medicine taking place, the clinical side of the building itself. You come out here to the garden itself, and it's a place of healing for the body and soul, or mind and soul. If I see a child out here, for example, strolling around or in a wheelchair and just kind of enjoying the garden itself, and if I can get that child to look at me, or I look at that child, make eye contact, and get a smile out of that child, I know I'm getting their mind off their worries or concerns. If I get to interact with them one-on-one, planting things out here in the garden, feeding the fish, that's a really big victory for me as well as for them.
I have 2 sick kids, so I'm here quite a bit, but to deal with the stress and the kids being sick as much as they are, besides spiritual grounding, I like the garden because it's peaceful and it keeps me connected. It reminds me of nature and God, and it just takes you away from everything. So it's beyond everyday living. Everything's so hectic and busy, but the garden is like calm and reserved, and you don't have to deal with all that. You just with you and yourself and God. That's it.
There's a feeling here of being suspended above the city. A bird's eye view of Forest Park reveals green space all the way to the Clayton skyline. The sounds of the city rise up from the street, softened by the rustling of leaves and the gurgling of fountains and waterfalls.
Like in most landscapes or most gardens that are designed, you want to have a calming, soothing sound of just a pool or a trickle of water from a waterfall in the background. The breeze is going by, the water in the background, the beauty of the greens, the flowers, just to enhance the whole experience of the garden itself.
Scattered throughout the garden are tiny sculptures of animals and other little surprises to pique the curiosity of children.
The statues we have around the garden here are all bronze figures. The salamander you see here, along with the toads, the frogs, tree frogs, the snake, and various animals we have around the garden itself are all put in here just for little surprises as the child comes out to visit the garden, maybe once, maybe twice, or during the duration you're here in the hospital. But always little surprises for the child to discover when they're visiting the garden itself.
Parents and children often return to the garden months or years later to revisit the place that during a trying time in life offered them some peace. When they do, they often ask for Gary Wangler, because beyond the flowers, the ponds, and the view, they remembered the man who cared for the garden and who cared about them.
One of the most gratifying things I think working here at St. Louis Children's Hospital is interacting with the patients, interacting with the families. There are numerous families that come here that I get to know personally. People from around the country that when they come for treatment, when they come in from checkups throughout the year, they usually contact me and, Gary, we want to see you, we want to visit the garden, we just want to come back and have a very nice experience like we've had in the past. Throughout my 25 years of horticulture, being at Missouri Botanical, being at the zoo, this has by far been the most gratifying of my career because of what I get out of seeing these kids come in and what I hopefully can do for them and make a halfway decent experience for them here at the garden.